So many people today are lonely in the secrecy of their hearts, feeling stuck in the monotony of the day-to-day, comparing their boring lives and feeling anxious and depressed. But all too often, you'd never even know it, because they look perfectly fine on the outside. Their Facebook and Instagram posts are filled with beautiful photos and interesting lives and, of course, smiling faces. How amazing it is that social media can bring people together from all around the world. Wherever you're watching from, leave a comment and you'll see that people gather from many different countries right where you are. But somewhere along the way, we've lost the connection that we've so desperately craved. In the United States alone, nearly 1 out of every 5 adults reported anxiety issues in 2022. And that number is rising. And this is just adults that reported it. But how many people hide it? I decided to permanently delete my social media accounts in my early 20s. I was soon to graduate from college, a straight-A student with a promising future. But yet, I was empty inside. If you've seen my video, my love story, you'll know all about my past and traumas that I had to work on, so I'm not going to retell that story here. But in short, I was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder around this time, and no one knew it. And why would they? My Facebook posts were filled with me wearing my best outfits and snapping 20 photos until I got just the right one to post. And the big aha turning point moment for me came when one day I had gone on a hike on a mountain that I had never been to before. It was strenuous for sure, and the view was something that I had never seen before. Pure majesty and just raw beauty. And what did I do? My first instinct, rather than to soak up the experience, breathe in the fresh air, and just be there, was to take my phone out and snap that perfect selfie. It was that day that I realized the emptiness I felt inside, that unworthiness, the comparing my boring life to everyone else, was only being perpetuated by this tiny device in my pocket. I finally noticed that I had become addicted to the little ding on my phone. Oh, notification, gotta check that. New message, new like. Or if there was no notification, then I had to check to make sure that I wasn't missing out on anything interesting. That FOMO was definitely real for me. I couldn't sit quietly with nothing to do. Just me and my thoughts. And honestly, I think that I was afraid to admit that I felt alone. But it was also a deep aversion that I had to boredom. Because for so long, the little dings had become a routine part of my day. And to that point, I didn't know myself anymore. I also, honestly, didn't like myself, much less being alone with myself and my thoughts. I've made separate videos on my experience with social anxiety and the steps that I took to overcome it, so I'm not going to talk about that today. But I think that most people today would describe me as a friendly person. I think of myself as a friendly introvert. I'm genuinely happy and fulfilled by my life, and I know that a huge part of that is the decision that I made over 9 years ago on that day. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easy and in just a few days I was good as new, good to go. No, it was incredibly hard. And I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time, by the way. That would have sent me into a panic attack for sure. It took 3 years of my social media sobriety for me to start a YouTube channel. And I would say that for the first few months, I definitely felt the withdrawal. I noticed myself pulling my phone out numerous times throughout the day and realizing, oh yeah, there's nothing to check. And for the first few weeks, this was honestly kind of scary to me because in my mind, it only reaffirmed the belief that I already held that I was alone. And coming face to face with this beast was uncomfortable. And because I had social anxiety, that advised to get out there and go to in-person events so that I could meet people and make friends, it was so intimidating, so overwhelming that honestly, I've admitted the secret before, and I hate admitting it, but I was so overwhelmed in social settings that I would urinate myself as a 20-year-old. But I was so determined that this diagnosis, this issue that I faced, wasn't going to become my excuse not to go out, but instead that it would become my very reason to go out. Previously, I had done volunteering and I was involved in some social stuff, but for the most part, it was kind of like me doing my own thing. Like I used to volunteer at a homeless shelter where they had a Christian service, and so I would take care of the little kids so that the adults could join the service. But I mean, taking care of a bunch of toddlers wasn't exactly pushing me outside my comfort zone. So I joined a ministry at my church that had a pretty tight-knit community, and I became a part of a small group that I met with every single week. I eventually made some friends, and I actually met my best friend there, aka the man I now get to call my husband. And when I look back at that time, it's crazy for me to think that it's almost been a decade, almost 10 years since I quit social media, that for me, not having a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram, a TikTok, or whatever those things are, has become my new norm. I now get to go on a beautiful hike and just live it for myself and enjoy the present moment. And I found something really beautiful and liberating in that. My life has taken a complete 180 turn since then. I've been able to do things that I never would have imagined, like public speaking at live events, or even just the fact that I actually started a YouTube channel, despite how nervous that made me when I first started. But there is a but. Because you probably noticed, because some people definitely let me know it, I'm currently posting this on a social media platform. And you know, honestly, when I started this YouTube channel, I never really saw it as social media because it wasn't people like snooping on other people's lives. You could learn how to make bread. You could listen to motivational speakers that you could probably never afford to listen to in person, or ask a question that you really need some help on. For example, when I was a new mom, you bet I hit the YouTube and the Reddit forums to ask all the moms questions all day long, and I got a lot of value from it. So for me, YouTube always felt different, and it still feels different. But I too recognize that there's always something to grow and improve upon. I've been making YouTube videos for longer than I'd like to admit, almost 5 years, and I still haven't made it big, and for the most part, I pretty much have nothing to show for it. But I've genuinely loved this experience because I know that technology is not evil. It's a tool, just like a saw used in construction. It can be used to build and construct amazing pieces of art, or it can be used to tear down and destroy. So I'm gonna spoil it for you. I'm not quitting YouTube for good. I'm just going on a complete social media fast, or a detox if you will. I genuinely love the community that we built. I love to read your comments and connecting on topics that we may not otherwise talk about in general conversation. But that being said, I've learned something in what is a very transformational time for me. I am currently 9 months pregnant with my third child. Any day now, mija. Any day. I am ready. I am so ready. And that lesson for me is that productivity and the self-improvement, self-development realm can also be addicting. It can be easy to go down this rabbit trail of listening to so much good advice from so many gurus on various topics that at some point it just becomes a bunch of noise. It can be overwhelming, trying to constantly try to achieve or to do things a certain way or to be a certain way. Listening to advice on how I should dress, what I should own, what I shouldn't own, how I should decorate my house, how I should raise my kids, what books I should read, and the list just goes on. Now, I'm definitely a very driven person. I love to have meaningful work. I worked as an ICU nurse and a hospice nurse, so my drive to impact people's lives is very much ingrained into me. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't strive for growth and strive for being the best that we can be. But what I am trying to say is that just like the seasons, there is a time and a place for everything. And sometimes it's good to just take a step back and slow down. And so I plan on taking a social media fast. And in case you're not familiar with fasting, in Christianity, fasting is viewed as something very powerful. You can fast from food, but you can also fast from pretty much anything that you feel weighs you down or that keeps you from being the best you that you can be. Creating content has definitely changed the way that I consume media. I now tend to listen more than I watch, and for the most part, it's all growth and improvement focused. But I've realized that I've gotten into the habit of constantly listening to an audiobook or listening to some awesome YouTuber or watching what content works for other people that I haven't taken the time to look inward, to pray, or to read my Bible. And personally, I believe in God, and I believe that no human being on the face of the earth can give me the wisdom and insight that God can. But I say that, and yet I've spent more time listening to the so-called gurus than I have picked up my Bible. And in case you're new to this channel, I'm no preacher. I try to keep this channel so that people of any belief can watch and learn ways to live simpler. So I talk about minimalism and how that can allow you to live a more abundant life. And for the most part, my content is more focused on slow living. So being that I have a baby on the way, I figure it's the perfect time to slow down and just be. I heard somewhere that we're not human doings, we're human beings. And that really stuck with me, because while content can certainly be helpful, if we're always stuck in the cycle of having some project or always looking to the next step, that next phase, then we're really not living the present. So either we're stuck in the past and lamenting or ruminating on what was, or we're focused on the future and getting to that next new level or that next shiny object. But in the end, we're still doing the same thing. We're missing out on now. I made that mistake with my first birth. I was so hard on myself. I had all these expectations of how I should eat, what I should look like, what I should do as a new mom, and all the milestones that my kid would meet, that I really didn't allow myself to just be, because I was constantly rushing to the next phase the entire time. So you may have heard of the metaphor of the caterpillar. When a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, it has to go into its chrysalis before it emerges this beautiful, colorful butterfly. When it goes into that chrysalis, the caterpillar actually turns to liquid, and in a completely vulnerable state, it dissolves before it emerges with wet wings that it then has to dry as quickly as possible before it takes flight. Maybe you're in a vulnerable time right now. And if so, I encourage you to go into that chrysalis, to shut out the noise of the world and be kind to yourself, reminding yourself that you are worthy and enough just as you are. And see what a social media fast can do for you. It's actually been a long time since I've made a video on the topic of digital minimalism, but I do have an entire playlist in case you need some extra motivation, or if you want to read some comments of other people's experiences. Just knowing that you're not alone can also be very encouraging. In those videos, I talk about various topics like what to do about social media withdrawal, because it is very much real, dealing with phone addiction, and also, ironically, I know, YouTube addiction, because it can be so easy to quit all other social media and then only to replace it with some other mindless habit. But as for me, I will definitely be documenting my experience and the insights that I learned so that I can share them with you at a later time. And actually, as of posting this video, I'm excited to share that I haven't watched a single YouTube video or listened to any audiobooks or listened to any music other than like classical or instrumental. And so far, I'm really enjoying this break. I've been able to just read my Bible a whole lot more. I'm currently reading a physical book, and the book that I'm reading, I don't have it with me right now, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's been nice to read a physical book for a change, because while our culture just certainly praises multitasking, and as much as I love audiobooks, I can immerse myself fully in what I'm doing by doing just one thing. So I think it's been a really good thing for me and really helping me with being able to focus a whole lot more. And then the music thing, it's a whole nother topic. I can make a separate video on that if you're interested, but I'll just leave it at this. Your subconscious is always listening. So be wise with what you're putting into it. And actually, to further bring home that point, let me actually go get that book from Napoleon Hill, and I will share with you the last phrase that I actually highlighted on it. So be right back. Okay, so where is it? Every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts which he permits to occupy his mind. I thought this phrase was so powerful because what he's essentially saying is the things that are constantly coming into your mind, which you allow, are what make you who you are. So be cautious, be very cautious of what content you are consuming. Is it something that is helping you construct a better person, or is it something that's destroying you? Be mindful about that and just kind of take a moment to analyze. If maybe you don't want to take a break, if you don't feel like you're addicted to social media and you don't feel like it's a problem for you, at the very least, consider what kind of content you are consuming. And is it something that is in alignment with the life that you want to live, the person that you want to be, the things that you value? And if not, then put it aside. And even if that means this YouTube video, but just be very mindful of the content that you consume. But that's it for today. I hope that you found this video helpful, and please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend if you enjoyed. And in the meantime, if there's a specific video that you would like to see from me, let me know down in the comments. But that's all. I wish you the best, my friend. Until next time, bye.